So, how many of you through this whole homeschooling thing are finding that your kids might be smarter than you are? My kids have really gotten into planets lately, and they have been teaching me so much about the solar system. It's amazing, things that I had no idea about, and it made me feel like maybe I didn't pay attention in school. Hmm. Anyway, they've been really excited about this, and I really wanted to get in on the excitement as well. So, as they were telling me all these cool things and these facts that they learned about the planets, we decided that maybe we should make a new series to add to the Soap and Clay line of planet soaps. And these planet soaps are going to be really cool. They were completely designed by the Soap and Clay kidlets. So, you got the colors, the exfoliants, the scents. They decided everything, and I was just along for the pour. But before we get into that, I'm Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. Now, the first soap in the Planet series is going to be the Mars soap. And that's really not by design. I know it seems like it might be because this week we also did the April birthstone and the Aries bar, but this really was just because the Soap and Clay kidlets were running around the house screaming, "Red Planet!" for like all day. And this soap, again, as I said, the Soap and Clay kidlets designed it all. They picked all the colors, they picked what it should smell like. I really like how they decided the soap should smell planety and cold. And you'll see what we ended up coming up with for that. Now, this particular soap, it is a round soap because, you know, planet, and we're pouring into a column mold, which you haven't seen yet. And I can't wait to show you how it all turned out. Let's go. So when I was a kid, I was studying the planets in school, and one of the projects that I did involved making a cake, like putting the planets on top with, you know, like frosting or whatever, and that was fun. So this is sort of an extension of that, and we are going to make a new series of planet soaps to put in the line because, you know, why not? It's fun, and the Soap and Clay kids are getting super into learning about the planets right now, which is awesome, and I will support any sort of learning. And we kind of just let them guide this entire pour, which was, you know, actually a lot of fun for all three of us. I got to do the chemistry stuff, and we talked about how soap is chemistry, and they were teaching me all about, you know, planets. Now, this particular recipe is, it's kind of stock standard. We've got coconut oil, babassu oil, castor oil, and shea in this guy. So it's going to be a really creamy lather. And the pour itself, it will be, you know, sort of symbolic of what Mars should be, right, which is the red planet. But there's also a lot of cool things about Mars that I didn't know, that the Soap and Clay kidlets were, you know, telling me. They told me that an astronomer once believed that there was intelligent life on Mars because of the grooves that turned out to be, you know, an optical illusion or whatnot, but that sort of looked like canals. And so I really wanted to incorporate that into the pour, as well as making it, you know, sort of the red rust-colored Mars that we can, you know, see in pictures as well. So with this pour, again, it's a 5-color swirl that we are going to pour into a cylindrical mold because I don't have a lot of round soaps in the line right now, and you know, planets are round, and so we're going for round soaps. It's a win-win all around. Now, for this pour, we will be doing an in-the-pot swirl, a sort of modified version of an in-the-pot swirl with that red as the base and the other 4 colors in the left as the swirl colors. Now, when I say I let the Soap and Clay kidlets sort of drive this pour, I really do mean it. They picked out all the colors, they told me all about the planet, they decided whether or not we had an exfoliant in it, and they even settled on the scents. Now, they smelled a bunch of scents and finally decided on a cedar, sandalwood, and eucalyptus blend. Now, the reasoning for the cedar and sandalwood was for them, it smelled very planety. And you know, that's kind of a cool way of describing, you know, cedar and sandalwood instead of, you know, earthy. It's planety. I can get behind that. And the eucalyptus, they said, smelled very cold, and they know that there are, you know, Arctic ice caps or whatnot on Mars, so the cold definitely needed to be in there, which I think was that was cool, you know, that the kids thought to do something like that. So I am currently just mixing in the colorants themselves right now. Again, we're using all micas here. They're mixing very well into the batter. The batter itself is going to be by design a little bit thick just because of the shea and the castor and the kind of high amount of hard oils in it. But that's okay because I don't want it to get too muddied. I don't want it to be too thin, because if the batter is too thin, the swirls are going to be sort of more intermingled than I'm ultimately going for here, because again, I would like to have at least some of the bars have the sort of grooves and lines in them to kind of symbolize, you know, the time when we thought people had built canals on Mars, or, you know, not people, but beings. Now that that's all mixed up, we are going to put in the blend. Now, in the blend is the kaolin clay. And as I said before, I've said a lot, I make clay soaps. Clay soaps are awesome. Oh, yeah, we're also putting an exfoliant in this guy because the girls decided we definitely needed an exfoliant. So those are cranberry seeds, which I think will add, you know, some nice depth to the red color. And again, back to the scent blend, we have the kaolin clay in there. I make clay soaps. So there's about, I don't know, I'd say 2 tablespoons of kaolin clay in that blend right now. And I'm just going to split them amongst all of the containers and put the last little bit into the white, because no matter what I do with kaolin, the last little bit of it tends to clump a little bit, and I'd rather have it in the white because that lightens up it'll lighten up the colors all around. So lightening the white is better than, you know, turning the red pink. So we are now going to mix all of those scents in really well, make sure they're well incorporated before we move on to the next step, which is the pour. Now, the pour itself is going to be an in the pot swirl, so it's kind of what it sounds like. I'm going to take all of those colors, those 4 colors at the top there, and pour them right back into the big container. Now, normally when you do an in the pot swirl, you pick big points within your container and you put your blobs of color within that, and then you give it a couple swirls to give the batter some movement, and then you pour it into your container. With this one, I kind of want a little bit of a thin lines pour going on inside of the bar, so I'm going to do, again, a modified in the pot swirl with this, and kind of put these in different order as far as the big blobs of color go. And, you know, full disclosure with this, I am learning this whole figuring out of how to film things. And up there, when I'm pouring into the top part of the Pyrex, it works really well. For the bottoms, it wasn't. My whole hand was just in the shot, and you saw nothing else. So I just cut those little bits out, because literally you're just looking at my glove like that. See, it's nice. And, you know, whatever. I'm learning. I'm working on it. We're trying to figure it out. Like that. Like that's a terrible angle. I'm working on the angles. Me and Drake. Now, once this is all in the mold, I am then going to take a skewer to it, just give it a couple mixes around, and then we are going to pour it into a tall cylindrical mold. This particular mold that I am using, it is, you know, like an actual proper soap maker's mold. It has a liner on it, and that makes it, you know, fancy. But I don't know that it's necessarily the greatest thing to use over, you know, just a big chunk of PVC that you could get, you know, at the hardware store. The PVC comes in more sizes, so there's definitely more room to be a little bit more creative with your types of round soaps, which is fun. Now, again, with the angles, I am literally standing on a very tall stool at this point to pour this, because I wanted to get the batter actually going into the soap mold. And as you can see, I kind of failed. And, you know, then I'm gonna try again and see if maybe I get a better. Nope. I mean, it's cool watching it go out like that. It's very pretty. It's very satisfying to see it go out with all the different lines. But that's not exactly the angle I was going for. So, you know, I'm learning. It's a thing. Now, once everything is in this mold, I am going to bang it down to make sure we have any air bubbles removed. And then I actually ended up with some extra soap batter, so I will use a regular tray mold to put the rest of the soap batter in, that's cool. These particular soaps will be more of the sort of muddy rust Mars that we're used to seeing, you know, in pictures or whatever, than what I'm hoping I get inside of the cylinder mold, which will be more of a sort of lined type soap. Now, once this is done and all the batter is, you know, in the molds, I am definitely going to be putting this thing through gel phase, which, you know, most of my soaps go through gel phase because I C-pop everything, but this one I really want to make sure that those colors all really pop and they all sort of stand on their own without losing any of the nice vibrancy of them. So they'll sit overnight and then we'll look at them tomorrow. Now, with my experience with cylinder molds, you usually want to let them wait a couple days in the mold before you try to unmold them. I am not doing that right now. I am actually going to unmold them next morning. Actually, it's about 8 hours since I poured this. And this is why, I mean, like a piece of PVC might work just as well as, you know, a proper soap mold for this. This liner is kind of a pain in the butt to get off, especially if you are trying to unmold it with fresh soap. I think that's really why they tell you you should wait a few days to unmold. Another way to make this less painful here is to pop the entire cylinder into your freezer and let it freeze up, and it should release a whole lot easier than what it is now. And when you release it like this and the soap is still very, very soft, you run the risk of damaging the outside of the soap itself. But, you know, that's really not a huge deal, because when you have soap that's this soft, you can take all the pieces that were left over on the mold itself and sort of use them as caulk to fill in the gaps in your soap mold and, you know, perfect any little circles or blemishes or anything on the outside of the bar before you cut it. I do recommend doing that before you cut it. It is an easier process to do, you know, the filling of the cracks and crevices at this point than doing it, you know, later after the bars have all been cut into individual, you know, strips. So this, it's a fairly easy process, doesn't take long at all, smooths everything out really nicely. This is one of the reasons why I actually unmold my soap so soon after pouring, so I can do any sort of repair work that I need to the outside. This repair isn't really something that you could do, you know, 3 days from now when the soap is very, very hard. It's really ideal to do it again now while the soap is still very pliable. And so now that it is ready to cut, I am going to go ahead and get out the cutter that Mr. Soap and Clay loathes and despises. I'm sorry, Mr. Soap and Clay, I gotta cut my soaps. Using a proper cutter or a miter box or what you have on hand is going to be definitely better with a round soap, right? Like, you've seen me hand cut regular rectangular soaps, and that can be hard enough, but getting a round bar to have a bunch of uniform cuts by hand is nearly impossible because, you know, round and it rolls around. So these, I'm gonna get the cutter out as quickly as possible so Mr. Soap and Clay doesn't have to see it. There you go, they're back. It's awesome. And oh, look at that. Look at that. That's so pretty. Now, there's not a lot of red going on in that one, but it's okay. I really like the lines, or the, you know, the canales or whatever. That's just beautiful. That's so stunning. That is a really, really pretty pour. I like that a lot. And I like how the flecks sort of came out, and that's the kaolin clay that's showing those sorts of flecks. And I personally love them. It adds some interest to the bar, I think, a little bit of depth. And oh, that's nice. That's almost, I mean, this particular pour would be a good pour if you were looking at doing like a geode soap line. You could make some modifications to the colors and maybe insert, you know, some salts or something to really up the theme. But God, I love that. I think that's so pretty. Now, as you get further down in the loaf, you're going to find more, you know, quote unquote red planet type bars, right? It's going to start becoming more rust colored and more sort of like, that could be a landmass and that could be an ice cap and those sorts of things. But the beginning bars are just, they're so pretty. I love the lines. It's such a lovely pour. And yeah, that one's nice. That one's very pretty. And the smell of these is good. The cedar and sandalwood, cedar and sandalwood, that's like a slam dunk. They always blend really nicely together. But adding the eucalyptus to it, it really brightened it up, and it does smell like earthy and cold. So good job, Soap and Clay Kidlets. That was a slam dunk. See, that one's good. That's gonna be most like the Red Planet pictures that we're used to. That one too. And there you have it, Sudsers. The first in our planetary line, the Mars soap. Cedar, sandalwood, eucalyptus, and very, very stunning.
Weren't those soaps so beautiful? I really love the ones that had like the lines going through the middle of it with like the black and the white and the concentric circles. That was so awesome, and I really like how that sort of had a nod to, you know, back when astronomers thought that there was life on Mars. And I really thought that was a cool addition to the line, and I wanted some of the soaps to look like that, and I'm glad they did. Now obviously you have the more rust and orange and red colored bars with the black and even like the white for the polar ice caps and everything represented within this batch as well, and that's great. I love how every single bar is completely different, and that's really what you're gonna get with a column pour, especially when you're doing like an in the pot swirl like we did. Hey, you know, that's it for the Mars soap. I'm so glad that you guys tuned in. It's day 7 of 365 days of soap. I'm still here. I'm glad you are too. You can find the Mars soap on the website at soapandclay.com. You can find me on all social media platforms, as well as, you know, the website and also here at YouTube. And yeah, thanks so much for coming and hanging out with me today, and I'll see you tomorrow.